ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is another episode of the Brutal Truth Browns Bengals podcast featuring baby driver Trey, the casual fan Kris, and angry Scott. And let me tell you, boys, I am fucking angry watching my Browns, or should I call them the Brown Eyes?
There we go. Hey, first off, we should call it the Brutal Losers Bengals Browns because Browns lost, Bengals lost, my Falcons lost, and the local Panthers lost. So it's brutal this week.
L's getting handed out all weekend. It's tough.
Yep. Well, did anybody else in the division have a 99.9% chance of winning? Because that only happened to the Browns. Okay, I'm gonna go on my fucking rant right now. Okay, 99.9% chance of winning. The last time that happened, they said it's been like 2,000 plus games since the last time something like that happened. But the last time it happened was like 2001. Would you like to guess what team it happened to? Were you up 13 points with like less than 2 minutes left? Would you like to guess the last team it happened to? It was in 2001. It was also the fucking Browns. Okay. So whoever didn't watch the game, I'm sure you've heard of the epic collapse. You're up 13 points with a minute 55 left. I guess the only good news is, if you're looking at it better from a Brown standpoint, the whole AFC North Division lost. Okay. The Ravens choked away a big, lead in the fourth quarter as well against Dolphins. But you want to know why I'm angry, Scott? I'm angry, Scott, because I'm a fucking Browns fan. Okay, if I judge my happiness on the Browns' success, I would be a sad, sad man. This podcast is called The Brutal Truth. The brutal truth is this only happens to the fucking Browns, okay? I mean, the Haslams are bad owners. We've been back, the Browns have, since 1999, and I just got to say they have not been the same franchise since their return. They left in 1996. The team moved to Baltimore. They've been back in 99. Okay, besides opting into the whole debacle that is Deshaun Watson and guaranteeing his contract, which just shows desperation on the Haslam's parts. It's just one bad mood after another. Okay. I was so damn mad after watching this damn game. I couldn't watch football for a couple hours. Okay. What I need to do is I need to find out where the secondary coach, where he lives. I need to go take a shit in his yard. And when he goes up and he opens doors, I say, you deserve this because this is what your secondary looks like. I will say this is a fireable offense. This is the second week in a row this shit has happened. And I'm sitting there, and the offense played better, and Jacoby played about as good as what he could until he choked away and threw a horrible interception at the end of the game. I hear all this other bullshit about your boy Nick Chubb, Georgia running back, former Georgia running back. Well, he probably shouldn't have scored at the very end. You were up 13 points with a minute 55 left. And I hear some other people say, oh, Kareem Hunt, maybe he should have just stayed in bounds and I run out of bounds a couple times. But I'm like, you can't really ask that much more from the offense. They scored 31 points. Okay. Amari Cooper looked great. Jacoby's not going to look any better. And it's just the curse of the Browns, man. They already brought up the 1993 shit, which is the last time the Browns won the first two games of the season. Number one movie at the box office, Jurassic Park. Gas was $1.06. They already had all that shit ready. I'm like, well, here we go. We're going to fucking lose. Okay. Look, man, the defense, your secondary, it's fucking horrible. We made Joe Flacco, a 37-year-old Joe Flacco, look like an all-pro. Okay, so what happens? We score, hey, good. And, we missed the extra point. We have this great field goal cooker, went 4 for 4 last week, made a 58-yard field goal against Carolina Panthers. And I told my wife, that extra point shouldn't matter. Okay, we should be fine. Look, there's a minute 55 left. And then what do? They go and they kick off, and I says, we're good as long as they don't give them a big play. And then it fucking happens. The famous last words, man. It was a misassignment in the secondary. We let somebody go and run by. They score right away. So then what do they go? They start going through all the statistics. Well, there's only a 14% chance that this onside kick will work. I'm like, I know it's going to fucking work because we're doomed. I just fucking know. And as soon as they got that onside kick, I'm like, we're fucked. I mean, and hey, for all the Buckeye fans out there, Garrett Wilson, former Buckeye, if you're down now on the Jets, he looked pretty damn good though. Okay. Even after all of that, okay, the Ravens end up scoring. I'm sorry, the Ravens. Fuck me. I mean, the Ravens fucking choked as well, right? The fucking Jets with Joe Flacco end up scoring 14 points because they made their extra point in like a minute 22. So we still had enough time to go down the field. Why he's a backup. Interception. So, I mean, I'll just say this. Stefanski said after the game, hey, we shouldn't have scored at the end, because Jets had no timeouts. And I guess when you go and you look at that, you say, hey, Nick Chubb, he should have just went ahead and not run, not scored, even though he's right there, and he would have stayed in bounds. But I was like, look, are we asking too much of a defense to not let a 37-year-old Joe Flacco, not Pat Mahomes, a 37-year-old Joe Flacco, who is perennial backup at this point in time in his career, lead the Jets down the field to give up, 14 points in the last minute 55 of the game? Are we asking too much? Or is this shit only happening to the fucking Browns? Boys, you tell me.
Got yourself a wicked curse going. I don't know what you need to do to break it, though, Scotty. The worst part, though, is...
Stop being a Browns fan?
No, I think the worst part, it feels like the dagger was Garrett Wilson. Former Buckeye throws up the OH at the very end in the end zone.
You did see the game.
That hurts. I saw some highlights, and that's hurtful.
Dude, here's the thing. The thing that's so hopeful is I saw Joe Flacco do this a bunch when he was a Raven, when he had that big contract. Dude's barely holding on to the league. I'm like, Joe Flacco's still in the league, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I mean, if you played the Browns every week, he'd be fine. The thing Jacoby, 22 for 27, 229 yards. Dude, he ain't gonna play any better, except for that interception at the end of the game. Okay? I don't know what else you want from Nick Chubb. I don't know what else you want from Kareem Hunt. I mean, dude, they can't play better than that. Okay? And you know what? It isn't on them. Amari Cooper, nine receptions for 101 yards. Man, he looked great. I mean, yeah, there's a couple like drop passes like David Njoku, but still he had 3 catches for 32 yards. It's just that the defense is supposed, in particular the secondary, is supposed to be talented now. But I'm telling you, Joe Johnson, I think, is who the defense coordinator is. This is a fireable offense. It happens again. It's a fireable offense now, but we play Thursday against the Steelers, so they're not going to fire him. But man, it is a fireable offense.
Dude, so you think it's purely secondary coaching?
Yes. And here's the thing. Here's what even hurts even more. That's supposed to be his, I believe he played in the NFL in the secondary. So that's supposed to be his, you would think he would know a lot about that. Well, obviously not.
Ooh, that's rough. I mean, dude, you have the talent, right?
Yeah.
You got Del Pitt, you got Denzel Ward. I mean, massive contract, right, in the offseason. And then who else do you guys have? Is it John Johnson or somebody? Double J?
Yeah, your two guys are like Del Pitt and, Denzel Ward, man. Maybe it was all that money Denzel's got in his pockets from that big contract. Maybe that's what weighed him down. Because after the game, it was a busted coverage. All I have is a lot of excuses and a lot of pointing fingers. And I'm like, man, what are we doing? The thing that's most disappointing for most of my time as a Browns fan since they've come back, they just haven't had the talent. Now we got the talent, but we obviously don't have the coach, And I'm not talking about Stefanski. I'm talking about the defensive coordinator. So what the fuck are we doing? I mean, the offense, especially if you're backup quarterback, you just can't play any better than that. I mean, Kris, what else did you see in the game? Do you have any other thoughts on it?
I did not see anything more than just that dagger of a touchdown at the end. I saw Chubb. He had a nice little scamper to get in the end zone, but it's at that point I was too busy prepping for the impending L.
You were too busy prepping for your also big disappointing loss from the Bengals. Hey, I'll say this right now, casual fan Kris and Angry Scott here. What we joke around each other, even though it's the Browns and the Bengals, what we joke around is Kris is like, you sure it's not the brown eyes? Ha ha ha. Well, we did play like shit. And you sure it's not the Bengals? Well, I don't know who, maybe they should just run Joe Burrow out there without an offensive line to the Bengals. We'll get to them later. But let me ask you a question there, baby driver. Okay? Let me just ask you a question, baby driver. Your boy, Nick Chubb, okay? He scored with 1:55 left. Do you think that if you're up and then that's going to go and it's supposed to take you up 2 touchdowns, did you think you did something wrong by, scoring instead of just laying down at the 2-yard line? You tell me.
Well, if you got to think like they're built that way. They're like, when you're a running back, hey, go for the end zone. I just think it's hard. There was Todd Gurley a couple of years ago when he played for the Falcons. He did the same thing. He went in and he got up and he's like, damn, you can kind of tell he's mad that I scored. Later, of course, the Falcons lost. So I just think they're like mentally just built that way to run to the end zone. So it's just hard to maybe tell them to stop. But I just think you're up 2 touchdowns and 99 point. This reminds me of, hey, which one was a better chance of winning? The Jets this weekend or App State on a Hail Mary pass? Because there was a stat on ESPN, 99.99% chance they wouldn't. I don't know. It's wacky.
Yeah. You know what, man? I will say this. Here's the thing. That's a freak play with App State at the end, and it's the Hail Mary. This is just I mean, like what I'll say it again, man. It's a fireable offense. It's just if you're up a minute 55, and I'm not putting it on Chubb. Yeah, I guess he should have went and fell down to the 2 if he knew there was just going to be a complete collapse. The fact that there was still, I want to say, like, oh boy, if my math is right, 33 seconds left that we could have still went down to hit a game-winning field goal. And man, I can't even put it on. Yes, the kicker should have made the extra point. But man, if I'm the Jets, why won't I just go on for 2? So I mean, I don't know. It's just it falls on the coaching big time. I'm not saying it's Stefanski's fault, but he is the head coach. So if it's not Stefanski's fault, he's the one that's got to make those changes on defense. So this is, I guess, the reason they're just like, well, hey, we just need to go ahead and fall down at the 2-yard line. But dude, that's if you're only going to be up like 1 score. I mean, 13 points, don't you think? Like with a minute 55 and all the timeouts gone. I mean, there's a reason that it hasn't happened in 21 years in the NFL. And the last time it happened to the fucking Browns.
Right. All right. Well, how about a little bit of positives for the game, though? I feel like you got Brissett's playing better. The running game, it sounds like you just guys, poo-pooed the bed on defense. Any positives that came from it, or I know it's just
the positives is we're 1-1 and we could be 0-2. How about that? Okay, we should be 2-0. Okay, but we're 1-1 instead of 0-2 because we did this same shit, and it was also a busted coverage last week against the Panthers, and we had a 58-yard field goal that bailed us out. Now, here's the other thing. This is the Jets, so it's only going to get tougher. We have the Steelers on Thursday. Now, Mr. Trubisky ain't exactly Johnny Unitas right now or Pat Mahomes, okay? I mean, I hope he doesn't fucking
They're banged up too, buddy.
Joe Flacco did, but he is playing against the fucking Browns secondary, so no fucking telling. But, so the Steelers are still the Steelers, okay? They do have a better coach, okay, than the Browns do. So it's a short week. Let's forget about it fast. I wonder if it was a longer week if they'd fired the defensive coordinator. Of course, we are only in September. And the only good news is the whole AFC North, if you're looking from a Browns standpoint, the whole AFC North lost. Okay. So we didn't fall behind, at least in winning the division. But I mean, I just don't know. Can Jacoby do this week in and week out? Look, I was hard on him last week because he didn't play great, but he balled out this week. I'll give you that. Besides that gut-wrenching interception he threw at that last drive. So, I mean, I guess the bright side is, we still don't have that difficult of a schedule with the Steelers and then the Falcons after that. I will tell you this though, boys. I sure as hell needed one of those tequila seltzers, man. Whether it was me pounding a huckleberry after a devastating loss or an elderberry after a devastating loss, I'll tell you this: I certainly needed a Blanco tequila. Our friends at Viva Seltzer. I don't know, is there enough alcohol you could provide for me to get through that? To be that fucking mad that I couldn't go and watch any football after that just shows you how fucking mad I was. But I did see some highlights of the devastating loss from the Bengals. Kris, would you like to discuss that?
Oh dear. So this weekend we definitely put the can't spell Bengals without an L. So I'll start with some of the positives, right? So return of Money Mac. So Evan McPherson, we get him a nice. We bring Cal Adamitis back in the mix. For those of our fans and watchers who aren't familiar, he's our undrafted free agent. He was the highest rated long snapper. There we go. Highest rated long snapper coming out of this class. So very fortunate that we did have him stored on the practice squad and kind of help reduce that loss of what's his name? No, drawing a
Kris,
blank.
can I ask you a quick question?
I do know my team, I promise. Go ahead.
I'm sure you don't. Kris, can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
What does it tell you about the state of your franchise that you're like, and I tell you what, man, I am really impressed with the long snapper we got?
Well, Scott, that's a great cue up right there. So what's concerning to me, though, is the fact that we still can't piece together some decent scores here. It took us until the fourth quarter or third or fourth quarter to actually get a touchdown. So again, it concerns me. Joey B, he played like a stud. He at least held on to the ball this go round. I think he had one fumble, but overall, that got recovered by Mixon. But again, heaps of improvements just in terms of ball security. But again, what really made me nervous throughout the game is we had chances and we just couldn't take them. We just didn't capitalize on much of it again until late in the game. I do appreciate the fact that, again, Joey kept us competitive. That if it were Brandon Allen, our backup, or anybody else, we'd be hosed. I think this game could have gone completely off the rails. Dallas being a hostile environment, I know it seemed tough, but my gosh, really need the O-line to really gel. You can't really force chemistry, and I think I touched back on this at the end of the preseason. Just waiting for those guys to put it all together. I think we've got the core talent and we've got the right people, but Dallas's D-line just made us look even worse and softer. You would have thought with Lael Collins, former Cowboy, coming back, you would have thought he'd have something to prove right out the gate, but he just had a horrendously slow start, beat multiple times. Granted, you do have one of the higher rated pass rushers in the NFL so far. Micah Parsons looked like a superhero. I think I just saw this stat on ESPN, the Seth Walder guy from ESPN Analytics. He said Parsons recorded a 54% pass rush win rate. Say that 3 times fast. But that's the highest rated by any player this week.
Wow.
So it makes me maybe there's hope in that we've at least gotten through the best pass rusher this week and then former defensive player of the year last week. So maybe
Chris,
it's all
I'm going to
downhill
give you
after
some.
this.
Chris, I'm going to give you some fucking brutal truth, okay? Because that's the name of the podcast, The Brutal Truth. So the brutal truth for the Browns and the Bengals is in our secondary, there is no hope. With your offensive line for the Bengals, there is no hope. That's the fucking brutal truth, boys. I will say
there's
this.
hope.
Only a fool's hope. Have you seen The Lord of the Rings? Okay. This is some Dumb and Dumber. If anybody's ever seen that meme, so you're saying she's like, if everybody's seen Dumb and Dumber from the 1990s, you've probably heard the famous, so you're saying there's a chance. We have a 90. I'm going back to the Browns for just 1 second. 99.9% chance of winning the game. She's like that 0.01. 0.1% chance. Yeah, we found a way to get that. Okay. So I wonder how many of Jets fans just turn the TV off. They're like, we won the game. How did that happen? How many other people left the Browns game and said, oh, hey, yeah, we'll be fine. My dad, I know you're listening. I love you. But he's always famous for, I'll go ahead and I don't need to really watch the end of this game. We won't lose this. I will say this. I did see some highlights from the Bengals Cowboys games. You have 2 losses. You're 0-2. You very well could be 2-0. As bad as the Bengals played against the Steelers that week 1, you still had a chance to win. You still probably should have won. I think Joe played better. It is, looks like he did have 6 sacks. So that is still like you tried to address that offensive line in the offseason. And I don't know if Zoe's come through. I also will say this, man, Cooper Rush for Dallas, man, he played pretty damn well. I don't know what else you're going to get. Of course, they did protect him a little bit better. I mean, you tell me, Chris, I know you've seen the whole game. And I planned on watching the whole game until I was fucking irate and, almost breaking things in the house watching the Brown Eyes. But, I mean, I think the Bengals did play better, don't you think?
Dude, we played, again, heaps better than last week. I felt about as good. Our defense in the first half, again, we made Cooper Rush look like about how the Browns made Joe Flacco look. Mm-hmm. This guy was playing like freaking John Elway, it seemed like, and it was just frustrating. I know Zeke, he ate, and what's his name, Pollard, they did pretty well. But again, it's just frustrating seeing the reigning AFC champs with the shoestring of an O-line who got so far last year. Expectation was worlds higher. Expectation was that Joey B is going to be protected. I never would have thought he'd have taken 6 sacks again. with a retooled O-line. So again, I've got my fool's hope, and that chemistry is going to work its way around. But my cardiac cats are playing like cats instead of tigers.
You sure the offense line isn't playing like a bunch of pussies?
Well, like I said, they're playing like cats. So again, at least we didn't give away a 99% chance. I think at the
it was
highest,
99.9% to be accurate. Casual.
Let me okay. I'll get my calculator out for that one. But look, I mean, man, at one point we had like an 80-something% chance, but it just went downhill immediately after that. Trey, if you got the statistics meter on there, you had one blip where the cardiac cats tried to come back through, but again, it's horrible for the blood pressure. Being a Bengals fan is not for the faint of heart.
I will say this, man. All these percentage chances win. You either 100% chance, you either 100% win the game or you 100% lose the game. Okay, so I mean, you've had a couple close games, back-to-back weeks. I like to say things are going to get better, but you're playing the fucking all-star 37-year-old Joe Flacco this upcoming week. So,
elite
I don't know what's
Joe
Flacco.
Elite Joe.
On the road.
I mean, I will say this. It looked like your wide receivers. Don't you think T. Higgins, Jamar Chase had some a pretty good day?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was very happy to see T. Higgins come back and contribute. I wish we'd have spread the ball a little bit more. Again, fool's hope here. It seems like teams are playing us a little more with a little more of a zone approach, keeping everybody in front of them. So looks like Joey B is going to have to be a little more patient, use that big old Ohio State / LSU Tiger QB brain and be patient. But I don't know, maybe it's an opportunity to get Joe Mixon involved and not get Joe Burrow killed so much.
Any thoughts that you had on the game there, Trey, from what you saw, either the Bengals game?
Yeah, I watched the tail end of it. Just like you guys kind of stalled out, and I feel bad for Joe Burrow's health, man. I think he's on pace for how many sacks? You got to do something. You're gonna get him killed.
I think experts say 3 million by the end of the season.
Yeah,
I think it was actually 2.9999 million, Chris.
To be brutally honest, I hate to bring it up, but is this a Super Bowl hangover?
And
then you got beat by Cooper Rush, the backup quarterback. And they do have a defense, it looks like.
Yeah, they need to take this loss and just let it sting. I mean, Cooper freaking Rush, aka John Elway.
The red rocket, man. He's got the red beard. It's like Andy Dalton all over again.
Redheaded QB kills us.
Here's the thing. The brutal truth is, Chris, if the Bengals don't win this upcoming week, your season's fucked. 0% chance of the playoffs. But once again, if you played John Elway, and aka Cooper Rush this last week, now you got Johnny Unitas, aka Pat Mahomes Sr. coming up. And that's your boy, 37-year-old Joe Flacco. And I'm like, he's still in the league?
Dude,
sure
I know.
Is.
The schedule doesn't get easier for us either. So again, if we don't come back with a little bit of revenge in our blood, and if this O-line doesn't figure it out, season's going to be just tough sledding. Again, we lost to the Jets last year by Mike White, backup Mike White, made him look like Joe Montana. So I don't know. I'm not super confident right now. It's not as confident as the beginning of the season.
Well, when you look at the beginning of the year, you look at the schedule and you say, hey, look, anything can happen any given week, right? But you start looking at where are your wins, where are your losses. You're going to probably get some losses you didn't expect. I'm talking about in the NFL, where it was the Browns. But man, this is like you didn't maybe know what was going to happen, but you definitely had your chances to win, especially because Dak was out. Okay. And then you already lost a close games. So you had your chance to win against the Steelers. So you sure as hell better win this week or you're screwed. I mean, I from a Browns standpoint, hey, I'm still 1-1, but we'll see, man. It's a short week and it's against the Steelers. So who knows? I mean, if there's another missed assignment in the secondary like that for the third week, I don't know how you can keep on bringing this guy back, besides the fact that it's the third game of the year. So anyways, boys, that is the brutal truth. Browns Bengals podcast. Please like and subscribe, and please go enjoy yourself a Viva Seltzer.
Yes, sir.
Viva up.
Thanks, boys.
Good work.